Okay. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in. Come on in. Come on into the room. Um, take your shoes off, uh, right on the inside of the door there, and let's have a wonderful time. Welcome back, good people. Welcome back to the Inner Storyteller. Welcome back to the channels. It's good to have you here. I am Soul Expression, as you can see right here. The XPRSN is for expression because I consider myself an expression of God's light, an expression of light, and we know where light comes from. Now, please, before we get into anything, consider subscribing to the channels, consider liking the video. Consider liking the video within the first 10 minutes of watching the video, even if you come here live and you start late. If you like the video within 10 minutes, then that says something nice and clear and strong to the algorithms. And I heard through the grapevine, through the is any other fruit growing a vine? Through the other vine and the grapevine, I heard that if you like the video, especially if you like it within the first 10 minutes, free pizza. Free pizza, y'all. Free pizza. All you got to do is go to the spot, tell them that you like the video, show them on your phone that you are indeed that you like the video already, and they're just gonna hit the button and you get a free slice, you know? And it's like whatever your favorite pizza is, by the way. So your favorite, that's what they got. It's on the menu just for you. Also, if you are here, then you are in for some real conversations. Okay? As I joke with you about pizza and liking the video. We talk about natural law. We talk about religion. We talk about money. We talk about anarchy. We talk about culture. Um, how mankind is manipulated from the shadows by forces that don't have our best interests at heart. And today, we are going to be reacting to Candace on the Shawn Ryan show. She has caused a bit of a ruckus. She indeed has caused a ruckus online. There are people like, TPUSA employees, Charlie Kirk show employees that are super desperate on X, and you can just see it. You can just see how desperate they're acting in response to Candace not only being on vacation, but also this interview dropping, this 4 hour and 44 minute interview where she just goes ballistic on everybody. She just is like, yeah, I got your number, I got your number, I got your number. I've seen your true colors, I've seen your true colors. Here you go. Here's a dose of truth for the internet to have fun with for everybody. And it's really cool to see. And I just want to react to a couple clips that are floating around Instagram. I like to react to clips via Instagram because that just kind of, I don't know, reacting to stuff that's on YouTube for some reason, it always gets a bit of a strike or something. They try to strike it, so I try to keep my reactions to another platform just to kind of stay safe. But yeah, this first clip is where she's talking about how she believes that something happened to Donald Trump. And before we even listen to what she has to say, because what she has to say makes a lot of sense to me, I want to address some of the comments here on the side. And I don't know if you guys can read them, but a lot of people are like, nothing changed with this guy Trump. Actually, he nothing changed. He was always like this, and all of the Democrats knew this the whole time. And that is the biggest crock of shit. That is just not true in the slightest, because we remember, by we I don't mean that I'm a Trump supporter or ever have been, but I remember the time on the internet where the conservative crowd, the MAGA crowd, if you will, would talk to the Democrats, whether they were Democrats that were actually seated congressmen and congresswomen, or Democrats that were voters, or somebody sort of in between, some sort of secretary or local government or something like that. And the conversations that were being had about, let's just say like Trump's first term, or the COVID voting practices that are said to be the reason why Biden, stole the election, right, in 2020 or something. When those conversations were going on, and again, I'm not in the left versus right. Uh, in my personal philosophy, I am an anarchist. I do not believe in the legitimacy of a group of individuals who have the divine right to rule over their peers, or the idea that people are naturally violent and chaotic when they don't have a group of masters telling them not to be. I don't believe either of those lies. But on the internet, it is funny to watch stories play out, and the left side of of those conversations was 99% the dumber side, the side coming with only emotion and only fear and only um, unsubstantiated attacks and only labels like racist and whatnot. 34 felonies, and then it's like, well, what were the charges? Oh, I don't know. See, but it doesn't matter. It's 34. Look at the count. The count is 34. When they were all like paperwork things that all politicians do all the time, type of shit. And those conversations are in my memory. And then I look at a comment section like this, in response to Candace Owens, and she's like, something happened to him because da 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 da. She's going to go through this logical chain of events that would suggest that he was compromised by real concrete actions that he took, and that he, moves he probably shouldn't have made to win. And her comments align with his public persona, his sort of brand is a winner, right? Even when he was just a celebrity, that was his brand. When he was on TV, he was a winner. He would win. And if you were going to be working with him or working under him, or on his show, you needed to be a winner, right? And his first campaign, his whole personality as a politician is a winner. He likes to win the wars. He likes to win the people over. He likes to win stuff, right? That's his brand. So anyway, she says things that make total sense, and people are in the comments like, "No, Democrats knew this about Trump the entire time," and yada yada. Um, what he didn't desperately want to win. He needed to win because without winning, we'd all know uh we'd all know what half the country already knew. He didn't change. You're just able to see what he is now. Um, Nothing happened to Trump. He has always been like this. Israel is the issue. Everyone else is just a soldier, another person says. If he's a different Trump, then how come every Democrat predicted everything he would do and he would be? No, what the Democrats were saying was that he was going to um, be some sort of dictator who was just lopping off the heads of all black people. And it's like I would see these conversations, bro. This is uh anyway. Let me continue with this comment because it just makes no sense. And then you're gonna listen to what Candace says, and it's like, no, what she says tracks. It makes sense, right? Nobody's claiming to know what's actually in the man's heart. She's just talking about something that makes sense as far as um, the MAGA folk were able to look past personality flaws when they didn't have concrete evidence of crimes committed, and the court cases like the rape allegation case and all of these things um, were still underway. We didn't have the information we have today. We literally did not have it. And then uh, what he actually did this this go round, this campaign, in order to win, and what the results that we can see actually are. So check out what she has to say. Also, there's some video editing put in here, that kind of support her uh take, but I don't think in a biased way. I think it's in an objective way, but that's just me. Let's hear it. What you got to say?
No, I don't consider myself to be a Republican.
Do you still consider yourself to be a conservative?
I'm always going to be a conservative. I actually realized I always was a conservative. I was raised with my grandfather. He was conservative. A Republican,
Yeah, I
different.
guess I guess there is a difference now, huh? I don't know, man. I trust my gut, but maybe I don't trust my gut because the lead up to this last election was just all lies.
Something happened to Trump, right? The person that I think I placed stock in was Trump, and we got played. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And the obvious answer is I think that Trump desperately, by any means necessary, wanted to win again.
Look at Ben Shapiro. Look at Ben Shapiro smiling. Oh my goodness, these people. These people. Sometimes you just look at somebody and you just know things, but I don't know him personally. but just clown, just total clown next to the ringleader. But yeah, hoodwinked, bamboozled. She said we were played. Nothing else to it. We were played. We were taken for a ride.
Felt the election, like many people do feel, was stolen from him in 2020. COVID, changing the way we vote. I totally agree with that, by the way. And his entire life's mission then transformed into I will do anything to win again, including making a deal with the devil and selling my soul.
If you didn't know who that lady was, I believe that was Miriam Adelson. And if that lady wasn't Miriam Adelson, that's definitely who Candace was talking about in that little segment. And the deal with the devil, I believe, was to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's alluded to, it's rumored, allegedly, maybe perhaps, that it's tied to a demand for what they actually physically did to Gaza and what they did and are doing to the West Bank, basically annexing the West Bank in the sort of Greater Israel project in general. That sort of thing is rumored to be tied to these hundreds of millions of dollars that supposedly, allegedly came from the Adelson family, which runs Vegas, the city of sin. You know, some powerful people.
That's what you think happened.
And he took 300 million from Miriam Adelson, something that he once mocked Marco Rubio from doing. He tweeted once about Sheldon Adelson owning Marco Rubio. You don't take 300 million from people who run Vegas and tell them no about anything. And so Trump is not his own man, plain and simple. Trump is not running this administration. Now I think he probably has a little bit of regret taking the money.
You think so?
I think so. I don't think he likes not being his own man. I think that's what a lot of the lashing out is about.
They don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand
I
that?
think Trump, at his core, wants to be liked, and I think he knows he's not liked right now.
And if you know anything about a narcissist, if you know anything about a narcissist, then not being liked. Ooh, that's not gonna go well. That not being liked thing. You can't tell a narcissist that nobody likes you and not expect to fight. Right? And yeah, yeah. It doesn't mean that you can't have thick skin, but they're going to lash out, and there will be signs that they are so heavily affected when you're dealing with somebody that's got the ego the size that Trump has, or any of these so-called presidents that see themselves fit to rule over their peers. And apply the rules unevenly and all of the rest of the things that government always does, no matter what country it's in. Um, where was I in that sentence? basically, all I'm trying to say is they fear narcissists not being liked, and Trump shows all of the signs of being just like that, and he always has. So to that extent, personality wise, he's always been exposed, and we knew the country knew what it was getting into the first time they put him in the seat, but they also knew when they were trying to get him in the seat the second time. Um, they also knew what the gas prices were, that there were no new wars, and there were certain promises that were made and kept the first time that were completely ignored, even though they were promised again this second time. But anyway, uh, let's kind of get back into our reaction. This is a longer little segment here where they get into some of the more morally significant aspects of the 4-hour conversation that they had. And I do encourage you guys, watch the full podcast, listen to it, whatever. Obviously, break it up um, if you have to or whatever, or just wait till your day off. It's worth the watch. It's worth the listen. But yeah, let's get into this one.
Yeah, that's all real. It's occult worship. They believe in sex magic. These people wrote extensively about the sex parties they were having, that they were summoning demons. The craziest part is the people that protect them. That's hard to know, that people I come up with in politics will look the other way for the right price. Everyone knew what Epstein was doing, and then he was protected, and they knew they went to prison.
I think about this shit all the time. I got a hot question for you. So we had Claude scrape the internet.
So as you can see, we already starting off with calling out who's behind the Wizard of Oz curtain. Right? Who is behind the Wizard of Oz curtain? And yeah, the dark occult, the covert religion, as it were.
For the most viral question, and here it is. This week, a hacktivist leaked the membership of Dialogue, a secret invitation-only society Peter Thiel founded in 2006, with a roster that reportedly includes a sitting Treasury Secretary, senators, and military and intelligence officials. So here's
Intelligence officials, Treasury Secretary, military guys. So they all join these. Sometimes they're secret. Sometimes they're only secret by way of they don't give out any information, and um, they don't have like a public facings anything. But other than that, all their paperwork is kind of public, and not necessarily secret. But they make these secret little groups. They come together and they plan what they're going to do by bringing together the exact um, policy making seats into the same room, at after 5 p.m. In these secret locations. You know what I'm saying?
the question. Have you looked into this at all? And what's your take?
What's the group called? Did they find out the name?
Dialogue.
Oh, it's called Dialogue? I mean, my general instinct on Peter Thiel is no. His name is an anagram
Real
for the
talk.
reptile. It's a no. He appears in the Epstein files so much after lying to Joe Rogan and saying like, oh, he helped me with some math stuff. It was weird. The emails were weird. It seems like they're like meeting up for dalliances and all across New York City. It's just weird. It's very strange, the emails, and it's a hard.
Did she say dalliances? What is a dalliance? Yeah, what is a dalliance? A dalliance relationship is a casual, brief, non-serious, romantic or non-serious romantic or sexual involvement. Ooh. Okay. So they were meeting up for dalliance around New York. Epstein and Peter Thiel.
Hard no. But also, I think I had my opinion colored because Dave Rubin told me about how he partied with him on his island. He also has an island, by the way.
Who does?
Peter Thiel.
You also got an island, by the way. You know, you just you make it to 100,000 there, and you're like, yo, instead of renting, I'm gonna buy, I'm gonna own something. You make it to a couple million there, let's say like 5 million. You're like, yo, I'm gonna buy my family some shit. I'm gonna buy my family some shit. You make it to like 20, 30 million, and you start buying businesses. You make it to like a couple 100 million, 400, 350 million, right? 400 million. And things just get way different. Then there's those like Mr. Teal. Let me see, what's the net worth of Peter Thiel right now? Peter, Thiel, net worth. And of course, private worth, 27.5 billion. 27.5 billion dollar. What do you do with 27.5 billion dollars? Your average man cannot imagine the lifestyle of having $1 billion to your name. It's just too much, right? You imagine, you know, I'm a millionaire is like this thing that we want to reach. And a million is infinitely closer to zero than it is to a billion when it comes to dollars, when it comes to something that goes up like uh the linear way that we do the math when it comes to money. And like $27.5 billion. And the half matters, right? $500 million is $500 million. You get to that tax bracket and you start buying islands. Okay? You're not buying businesses anymore. That was last year. Okay? You're far removed from buying clothes and buying services like a chauffeur and a pilot and what. That was yesterday. That's last year. We're not worried about that. Now we're buying islands. Okay? We're buying land that has water in 360 degrees around it. We're not buying land like the rest of you bozos. We're buying islands. And it's like, you remember that video from yesterday's episode, where the guy bought some land here in the United States. He built a treehouse, beautiful treehouse. Took him 4 years of his life to build himself a home on his land. And then, because his parents were gonna build on the same land, and it's over 100 acres worth of land, the government said you can't live in your house that you've spent 4 years building until your parents' house is finished and we get this other paperwork done. You can't live in your house. You will be fined and in debt and possibly jailed for living in the house that you built on your land if you live in it before we say you can live in it. Right? And you got people buying islands. For what? For what, by the way? Right? Where does the $27.5 billion actually come from? Because I don't think it comes from, businesses and people buying their product and them, doing, accounting and a little bit of investment here and there. I don't think that that's where you get $27.5 billion. But you know what? I'm not here to diagnose the issue. I'm just here to talk some shit. Let's keep going. Peter Thiel got an island.
I
He's got
learned
an
this from
island
Dave
too.
Rubin. And Dave Rubin told me the story that still lives inside of me. Um, and he'll deny it, but Peter Thiel will hear this and know I'm telling the truth because I couldn't have known it otherwise. But him and his husband went to Peter Thiel's island, which is in like off the coast of Hawaii. He just kind of bought an island. This is what you do at a certain level. And he has his house on it.
Yeah, I just
And
said that.
he, I guess, got to an age where he realized that like he needed somewhere to dump his wealth, so he decided to have a kid. Got a surrogate, whatever. And he said it was the weirdest thing because once his son was born, they all were there on the island. And Peter Thiel is building a house next door for the nannies to raise the child. And he said when they brought the child around the table at his house, they basically like the servants were like presenting the child, and Peter was just sort of like looking at the child, like, yes, yeah, there he is, or whatever. And it was like very strange and detached, and that, they partied with Peter Thiel, and I'll leave it at that. But I had my opinions about who Peter Thiel is was shaped about by Dave Rubin. It's not a guy that I want in authority to make any decisions whatsoever.
And yet, here we are, good people. Here we are in the time of the Teal. Here we are in the time of the Teal. And like, let's not forget. Oh, not that one. Sorry. I'm trying to pull up my next there we go. My next clip from the interview. We are not fighting merely a spiritual war against these people. We are fighting a physio-spiritual war against these people. We have to take physical action. Okay? We have to do a little bit of reading. We have to do a little bit of reflection. We have to do a little bit of coming together and learning the names, the aspirations, the struggles, and where we can help of our neighbors. Okay? Especially those of us that don't live necessarily in like apartment communities where you probably have a lot of safety reasons why you don't want to trust people like that. But if you live in a house, okay, it's very important. And we have to take real world action to start growing our own food, collecting and cleaning our own water against the will of the city ordinances. We have to just do it. They cannot and would not try, wouldn't even attempt to get everybody on the same, for the same crime on the docket, right? If everybody is collecting and filtering and cleaning their own water, or if every community or something like that, and uh, everybody is learning at least a little something about herbs, at least a little something about growing some food, at least a little something about homeschooling, at least a little something about the law, maybe to get help get people out of short, easy, low hanging fruit um, court proceedings or what have you, because there are equ- uh, equitable remedies that people should be, and even constitutional protections that people should be aware of when it comes to police and the court system and whatnot. But we just need to know each other. We need to care more about each other than we do about the job that hates you and the paycheck that's never enough. And just the clinging to the story that if I don't do it their way, you know, the only answer is I have to die. Not there's also answers where we come together and we challenge them outright and we stand up to our peers and say, "No, you don't rule me actually." But it's Saturday. Let's not get too emotional. Let's get back into our reaction. I love this clip. This is where they're actually talking a little bit about the Tyler Robinson case. Um, what happened on September 10th with Charlie Kirk. Let's check it out.
Tyler Robinson did not murder Charlie Kirk. I think he played a role. He picked up clothes and he dumped them behind the Dairy Queen. I think his
That Dairy Queen shot, man, the internet was mad when she dropped that. We were not supposed to see that Dairy Queen shot ever, because the story was he changed his clothes before he took the shot. He took that maroon shirt off, changed his clothes into some tactical gear or to some all black stuff, went up the stairs, right? You remember they gave us the grainy photos with the guy with the sunglasses and the hat on going up the stairs, and he had changed clothes by that time. That was the initial story, right? And now, when Candace dropped that Dairy Queen shot and he's got the maroon shirt back on, they're like, "Oh man." Oh fuck. Anyway, Lance Twigs, the roommate that was never expected to survive in the story for this long. I mean, yo, if y'all are following this story, y'all know Lance Twigs is conspiracy theorists like target number one.
roommate
Anyway,
is a federal asset, Lance Twigs. The police didn't even question him. You could easily set up somebody that you're dating. I do not believe that.
yeah, the police didn't question him, and just a few days back, maybe a week or so ago, the judge in the case decided that they were going to allow in the pre-trial hearing a videotape or audio tape of Lance Twigs testifying against Tyler Robinson, and they denied the defense's request to subpoena for Lance Twigs to come in for cross-examination, meaning the prosecution gets to present an audio tape of somebody who is alive and well, saying that basically Tyler did it, and they don't get to question him. That's a show trial, right? That's that's insane. That's called hearsay legally. But regardless, Lance Twigs, shout out Lance Twigs. I don't know nothing. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Tyler Robinson is the person who was walking in that staircase. I do not believe the person walking in the staircase was even the person that we saw running off of the roof. I don't even know what day that person was running off the roof because there's only one eyewitness. I spoke to that individual. He never saw a shot fired.
Wasn't there a guy?
So yeah, so one of the things that she said in this interview is that she spoke to the guy that saw someone on the roof. There was a video and it was going around X, at the time, and Coach Colin covered it. I believe Ian Carroll covered it. Um, uh, Baron Coleman might have covered it, but basically there was a guy and he caught this video. He either streamed it, like he went straight on live, or he just took the video and posted it on Instagram. But he's like, "Yo, there's a guy up there on the roof." He said he never saw the guy on the roof take any gunshots, which is very important. He said it publicly, and the FBI, nobody, the police and the FBI did not question this man. Candace got to talk to him, and he told her never saw him took a shot and whatnot. And so when she says, I don't even know if this guy running across the roof is running across the roof on September 10th. I don't even know what day this guy's running across the roof. She's not tripping, y'all. She's not tripping.
I that said he did it.
I call him decoy boy number one. So George Zinn instantly gets up, says he did it, his pants fall, and people are recording him, and it creates just a bit of a distraction. He went to the hospital to get treated for some mild injuries. He told the nurses that he was paid to do it, but he didn't know where the money was coming from. Tyler Robinson
told the nurses he was getting paid, but I don't know who's paying me. But you got to pay me for more information than that, lady. Crazy, right? And there's also they were looking into the military background of George Zinn, the military background of a whole bunch of actors that day, actually. Obviously a whole lot of people on Charlie's security team have military background, but that's normal for a security team. But all of the friends, and there's a lot of people that were wearing maroon shirts that were on campus that day for that particular event. Um, and everybody that got looked into, oh, and all of the people that did the initial TV interviews, the interviews that made the television. You had the blonde girl that had two different stories, right? At first she said, yeah, he got shot in the chest and there was blood coming, you know, that was all over his shirt from his chest wound. And then a couple hours later, to another camera, the same girl says, yeah, he got shot in the neck and then blood came out and spilled on his shirt from his neck. Right. And first she was like, yeah, no, he got shot in the chest. And we all saw it and I was right there and it was crazy and all his blood came on his from getting shot in the chest, near his heart, I think she said. Right. And then a couple hours later, she's like, yeah, he got shot in the neck. Um, Her family tied to the military. The guy that um stopped that pushed and shoved the one boy from doing an interview on September 10th, like on campus as some of the chaos was still happening. The one that stopped him and then was on TV later, like 3 days later himself telling the, 30-06 didn't go through the neck story or whatever. Um, he's tied to the military. It was crazy. It was crazy. Everybody that was allowed to do a TV interview regarding this was tied, or them themselves or their families was tied to the United States military. That shit was insane. Plus, there were 12 Israeli cell phones, um, that nobody talks about, and that sometimes I think they're just not able to get information, or maybe even she forgot because she doesn't bring that back up either. You know. But here's the last clip from the interview that I wanted to touch on, and I think it's a good one to end on. I think it's a good little message. It makes sense to me. Check it out.
Do you think this needed to happen?
What did happen?
This veil to be lifted?
Yeah, I have to believe that. I am, at my core, an eternal optimist. I have to believe that Charlie was right, that his death was going to happen because it would be tied to a global awakening. And I've seen that. There is true evil being exposed. I think we as a society needed shock treatment. And so Charlie's death contributed to an awakening, and I have to keep that perspective that,
Keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Gotta believe to keep going. Because the show don't stop when we feel bad. The show don't stop just because, it gets hard to keep the show going. The sun gonna rise, baby. The clouds gonna move out the way. The sun gonna rise. And that's just gonna be that. Whether we all go to hell or we survive or we, learn to treat each other baby and better and make heaven on earth. Um, it's up to us. Right? And like I always say, our mission is not to force other people to do right by humanity. Our mission is first and foremost to gain the correct knowledge that would make us equipped to be able to save ourselves. And I don't mean that in any type of disrespect to people that think they're supposed to be saved from Jesus Christ or something. That's fine. You can believe that. I'm just saying you have to gain the right knowledge to be able to walk behind Jesus, to be able to walk the path of right action. That takes inner work, and it takes hard inner work, and the reason it's so difficult is because the human family together, the aggregate of the human population, is so far from the moral center of reality. Right? We are so far into the immoral side of the graph that it's extremely hard when you go to do internal work, to do shadow work, to actually change, because the conditioning that you don't know you're being conditioned in your adolescence, in your first couple years of being alive. You don't know how bad you're being manipulated, and how good the mind control techniques of, let's say, the television and the smartphones are. You have no idea how much they are inundating your, subconscious and your mind with their programming. And by the time you figure out that everybody is under the spell and you go to work on yourself, there's this huge isolation period that happens, right? This period where you don't know enough to tell everybody the truth as like some sort of preacher, and at the same time you know way too much to hold a normal conversation and just be like okay with how bad the lyrics in rap music are, or how how we have these politicians that we keep paying taxes to. They're paid from taxes that we keep paying our paycheck to, and yet we got all of the millions of documents of a lot of them saying in writing, yeah, we eat kids on islands and in tunnels in New York. Yeah, we eat kids. And we just go to work like, and I'm not saying, F your situation, stop going to work. You should. I'm just saying we do have the choice at all times to learn the names, aspirations, struggles, and stories of our neighbors, come together as a community and figure some shit out when it comes to growing our own food, filtering and cleaning and collecting our own water, sheltering each other, and being there for each other. We have that choice. When we exercise that choice and then pay it forward, and that becomes more normal, then we can have better conversations about what to do if we're not going to respect, or we're not going to be subservient to this government. Well, what does it get replaced with? We can't have that conversation yet because we don't have any skills to do the replacing. We don't have any grammar to talk about and imagine what would replace the current lifestyle of being subservient to these demons, with something that makes more sense. We don't have the grammar, right? A few of us do. I'm still building mine, but we do not have the facts, and we don't have the time. Now, I'm not going to say that we don't have the time, meaning like it's doom and gloom and we should just like curl up in the fetal position, build our own, build a bunker in the dirt outside, out back, and just curl up in the fetal position and wait to die. I'm not saying that we don't have time in that sense. I'm saying we don't have time in the sense that if there's no fire lit in you to be a more moral person in this immoral world, despite it not seeming like the world is getting more moral, then you are a part of the problem. That's what I'm saying. You cannot be walking around here with no fire toward change, and expect a better result. I mean, you can, but you can't do that and expect a better result, right? Expect us not to be fed to the slaughterhouse. Um, and it's not all bad, right? There's tons of beauty in this world, right? I got a 2-year-old daughter. Um, I'm not saying it's all bad, and I think we're gonna get it together one day. I just don't think we have the time to dilly dally in our mission to leave our children with a better world. With that being said, um, thank you all for joining. This is, I think, the most live viewership that I've had on the channel. So I do appreciate you guys' time. We if you are here, okay, if you end up subscribing, if you like the video, and you come back, then you are in for real conversations, good people. We talk about natural law, we talk about religion, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great. We talk about culture, we talk about money, we talk about anarchy, and how mankind is manipulated by forces that do not have our best interests at heart. Perhaps because they're completely evil. I don't know. I'm not in the boardroom. But I say we talk about religion. We don't bash faith systems on this channel. We don't identify as being a part of any religion, but we don't call anybody stupid for having a religion here. We simply are examining the psychological affects and effects of the stories that we have the most faith in and how those stories help shape society. And that examination sits right alongside a honest look at the current human condition, which is slavery. Government is slavery every time, good people. And question we have to keep coming back to is what can actually be improved with a proper understanding of the inner storyteller and how it works. And if any of that makes you uneasy, makes you a little angry, makes you uncomfortable in any way, please be assured and reassured that although you are encouraged to stick around, maybe confront some of those feelings, um, to embrace the unknown, you are also welcome to leave at any time after you like the video. Okay, the exit actually doesn't appear until you like the video. So if you really want to get out of here, click that like button, and magically you'll suddenly have an exit button or an option to click on another video. uh, Also, I heard there's free ice cream for anyone who likes the video. Yeah, just go to the spot and say, show them your phone, show them that you like the video. Get hooked up. You get hooked up. The manager's going to come out. You're going to get a birthday hat. It's going to be amazing. Other than that, please let me know in the comments, what you thought, what you think about the interview, if you saw the interview, some things that you might want me to cover inner storyteller style next week. As you know, Saturdays are chill days. We do our little reaction kind of series. Sundays we're not on, and then we're back on Monday through Saturday, every day. We have not been successful at keeping it exactly at 6:30 p.m., but we around there. We around there somewhere. Okay. I think we started at 6:40 today. We around there somewhere. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you so much. Peace.